Hey, Brandon, good to talk to you. Just wondering if you'd like to divulge sort of the details of your injury here of late and how difficult it was to miss the end of the year here.
Yeah, it's not fun when you're missing it, and obviously it's a kind of a tough stretch this season, last few weeks, uh, with the position we were in. So it's you kind of feel bad you're not out there playing with the guys. Yeah, I just kind of tweaked my shoulder a bit. The in Toronto there was the second last shift of the game. Took a face off and just kind of jammed my shoulder. Just have some. Yeah, I'm not going to get into detail what it is, but just feeling better. Probably still a few weeks away from being kind of normal again, but shouldn't be much of a concern going forward.
And now that the season has come to an end, how do you look back on it and how will you remember it, do you think?
Well, I mean, this has been a year like no other for sure, as you all know. Um, just I think coming into the season off of what we did last year and the success we had at the end of last year, and kind of the exciting feeling we had coming in this year, and then we just didn't get the start we wanted. There's a stretch of 8 or 10 games right at the start of the season, and that kind of seemed like the rest of the year we were trying to catch up. That ultimately kind of ended up being the end of it for us. I think we if you get 2, maybe 3 wins out of those ones you lost in the first 20 games, it's a completely different feeling down the stretch. And yet we still played well in what was it, March there, kind of got ourselves back, had a good road trip, and we went out east and got our game back a bit and kind of found our groove. And then obviously got the big pause in the middle of it. So had a lot of ups and downs in a short season. And but it's just, disappointing when you're not part of it right now. And again, after being in playoffs last year and now seeing what's on TV now, teams playing in playoffs, it just reminds you how much fun it is and drives you to want to be there. So unfortunately, we're not there.
We'll go next here to Jeff Patterson.
Brandon, there's so much uncertainty around so many guys. You're included in that, but Travis and his entire staff worked all season without contract extensions, which is pretty extraordinary in professional hockey. You're part of the leadership group. You were here through Travis's time. What kind of job has he done from start to finish the 4 years here? And, does he deserve an extension from the Canucks?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think, in terms of the job that, Greener and the coaches have done, I think it's been awesome. You look at when he first came in here, we were kind of going through a big change. It's kind of after, the city's retired, and it's a kind of organizational change. And I knew even when I came here, we were going to go through something like that. And then a couple of years later, Greener came in and we kind of started to turn the page a bit and look at then I think 2 years ago, even last season, just felt like we were kind of, finding our way a bit. And you could feel it last season in the building. You could feel it with the fans and just the energy we had last year. It was a fun year, and that's all because of our coaching staff and what they've done, and obviously players improving, and we got a lot of good young players too that made some strides. But it's all driven by your coaches, and I think they've given us the best chance that we can have to win. And again, this season doesn't fall on them; it falls on everybody, and players and staff included. But I know I personally sure enjoyed everything they did for me and for the guys here. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to comment too much more on it, but there's no question that the feeling of a lot of people, I think, is we like our staff here.
You know how it works in a Canadian market like this one. It's a great talking point for us on the outside and the fans that lame duck coach and that kind of type. Like, does any of that instability hold any weight in the locker room? Like, is that ever an issue with the players that the coach doesn't have tenure?
No, I think as players, we kind of just, we just worry about what we're doing. We just go play and play and play. And a lot of guys don't have contracts next year, players, coaches, whatever it is. I think, throughout the season, I think, especially after last season, I think just probably the expectation that I would have had was that at some point our coaches would have had, some extension or whatever. But again, things didn't go the way we wanted to this year, obviously. But as a player, you just kind of go play. And here we are at the end of the season. I guess we're still in that same situation. But it's not up to me to make those decisions, and it's not up to a lot of people. That's a business we're in. So, but as a player, I think you just go play and worry about the guys in the room you're playing with, and you don't focus too much on what's going on outside of it.
Next up is Ian McIntyre.
Hi, Brandon. Your time in Vancouver seems to kind of mirror the team's time, where you've had some very difficult years, injuries and stuff. You've had some good times, like the breakthrough last year. How do you view your time as a whole in Vancouver?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I've loved it here. It's been awesome. Everything has been just a great 6 seasons so far. Obviously, frustrating part for me was injuries. I've dealt with a lot of things in the last 6 years, and it's been tough being on the outside, having to watch a lot. And I think when you're a younger guy, you're kind of oblivious to injuries and stuff. You kind of just go play. And I think I made it through my first 7 years or whatever it was without having really much of anything. And all of a sudden, things start happening and you don't know why, and it's frustrating. And a lot of things kind of connected to the same area of my body. So that's frustrating, but it's part of being an athlete. And I think when I first deal with a serious injury, you don't know what to expect. And now I've had a few that mentally now I know how to kind of come out of it better than I would have, my first couple of years here in Vancouver when I missed a lot of time. And you just got to accept that it's part of the job, and you got to do everything you can to prevent it from happening. So that's the frustrating part. But like you said, the fun part was the progress that we have made over the course of 6 years. And some of the guys we have in the room now, the young guys, have come a long way, and you hope that you can, you've hoped that you've helped them and they've helped you and you've been a part of it. And again, it's just sucks we're not in playoffs.
What do you think is the biggest thing that needs to occur for next season to be better than this one?
I think, again, for young players, they got to continue to make strides, and veteran, you have to have good veterans that want to push too and want to keep getting better too. I think you realize as you get older, it's not okay just to be the player you were 3 years ago, because the league gets better every year. So everyone needs to, raise their game and find a way to be better. And ultimately, that's how you have success. And I think that's something that I think players here understand, and our coaches have pushed on us, is just that extra improvement every year. And personally, you got to find ways to find it.
Next up is Thomas Drance.
Hey, Brandon, pending UFA this summer, have you and your camp begun conversations with the Canucks? What are your priorities heading into that over the next few months?
Yeah, I won't really get into too much of the detail of it, but for myself, I mean, the plan from the start of the year, getting questions about it was, to stay here and be part of the group here. So that really hasn't, that priority hasn't changed. Obviously, you always hear rumblings of what's going on over the last week with kind of some of the unknowns of what's going to happen and who's here, player wise, staff wise, whatever. So you obviously have to wait and see how that all kind of plays out. But like I said, for me, it's been, I've loved my time here, and I want it to continue. So we'll see where that takes us.
In watching, I assume you've been watching some of the playoffs, and especially down in the United States where there are fans in the building. As a player, and especially having gone through, the cooped up, empty building nature of this past season, does it feel nostalgic? Does it sort of create a fire to maybe get back to a more normal year next season?
Yeah, 100%. Again, it was a challenging year, but we dealt with it. And, day by day, things changed, and obviously not having fans in the building was probably the biggest thing that was just weird. And even playoffs, seeing, like you said, in the States, the teams with 10, 12, 20,000 people in the building, kind of makes you come back to remembering why you played hockey and why you've worked this hard to get to where you are. Because when you're out in those moments, there's nothing funner, there's nothing better. So it definitely drives you to want to get back there, and that's got to be the goal.
All right, we'll take a couple more here. We'll go first to Ben Kuzma.
Hey, Brandon, a couple from me. As part of the leadership group, you've seen the ongoing involvement of Bo Horvat as a captain. My first question is, it seemed from afar that he was kind of put in an awkward position as you guys came out of the COVID outbreak, and we're wondering about the schedule and how many games are going to be crammed in 19 into 32 days. How challenging do you think that was for a captain to kind of face the music there, and really didn't seem like he was getting much support?
Yeah, that's tough. That's what I talked about before. When you're injured and you're kind of on the outside watching, and I think for Beegs and myself, just being two centermen, it's tough minutes playing up the middle. And for Bo, he plays a lot of minutes against the best players in the world. So he's got a tough job to do. And I was happy that when they extended Pierce, because I think him and Bo and Pierce play pretty well together, and they lean on each other pretty good. So that's a good duo for us. But when you're, like you said, when you're watching and the team's having a tough time, it's a lot of games. It's tough on him. But I talked to him last night. He was pretty tired. He's played a lot of minutes, both him and Millsy and Pierce over the last month here. So I guess probably best too. But when you're up the middle playing, like I said, those tough minutes playing against, they played Edmonton 5 times in the last 3 weeks. It's a lot of skating, a lot of work. So hopefully he's feeling good, and hopefully we hit the reset button here a little bit and kind of refresh ourselves. And I think we're already kind of looking forward to what's going to happen next season in terms of hopefully getting back to some kind of normalcy.
An ongoing challenge for an elite player is to do more than just what he does 5-on-5 and on the power play. Bo played the PK and looked pretty comfortable in the position. As somebody who specializes in that area, how impressed were you with how Bo handled that ask?
Yeah, he was kind of laughing about last night too. He's like, yeah, I even got a chance to kill all the penalties and stuff. So he's an all around player. It's I think our team, we have kind of the roles we've had. Certain guys are going to kill penalties and certain guys are going to play power play. And there's a few guys that can go back and forth. And Millsy and Bo are the two guys and Pierce do kind of go back and forth with that. And Bo can kind of jump in anywhere and play in any situation. So ideally we're healthy and we don't have to rely on him for that kind of for penalty killing, but he's up to the task.
Our last question here for Brandon Sutter comes from Daniel Wagner.
Brandon, with the 3 teams you've played for in your career, you've always re-signed with the same team, and you've always seemed to you've always had a contract extension. Is there a certain amount of excitement going into free agency, knowing that maybe you could hear from other teams? Is that something that you're looking forward to at all?
I haven't really thought about it too much. Again, I said, I've never lived in this situation before. It's different, but I don't really love change too much. I think it's I like to be where I am, and like I said, I love my time here. So I like the guys in the room that I play with, the players here. It's been a great group. So for me, it's I know what I want, and I guess we'll just see what happens. But like I said, that's my priority, and I'm not really too focused on. I'm looking everywhere else. So we'll see what happens.
And in your 13 years in the league, you've been to the playoffs 4 times. Is that something that is a priority as well? And when you look at this Canucks team, do you see a team that can get back to the playoffs next season?
Yeah, that's always a priority. I think, I knew, when I first came here, we knew there was gonna be kind of a bit of a change at some point. So just with, the Sedins getting older and stuff like that. And the first year here, didn't go the way we wanted. And then things kind of changed after that. So obviously getting back in the playoffs last year was awesome. It kind of, again, reminds you why you play hockey. So that's priority number 1 for sure. So, that's part of it too. Like I said, the uncertainties of what's going to happen, what our group's going to look like here plays into that, no question. So we'll see where that goes.